Okay, we're doing the Football Savages college football preview for the bowl season with the playoff and everything. So we're gonna start off with Michigan State, and Nick Page is joining me. I'm Jimmy Gillespie, and he has a lot of stuff he wants to say about Michigan State. So I'll let him go.
All right, so to start off, Michigan State is facing Baylor in the Cotton Bowl. And before we even get match up, I just want to let loose some feelings about Michigan State staff and current players and how big of fuckboys pretty much the whole entire program is down there in East Lansing. So you figure Oregon over the years had a little bit of trouble with the more pro-style teams, like Stanford they don't always do too good against. So you think, hey, they're giving Michigan State 12 points, even if it was at Oregon, I think. So is that whatever the fuck little town that city's in? And so you think pretty decent quarterback, decent defense, pretty well-known coaches with 12 points. You think that's a pretty good bet to make. But I guess not, because Michigan State and Connor Cook, Jeremy Douchebag Langford, Mark D'Antonio, they can't hold their own against a fucking bunch of finesse players. And whatever it was, they lost by like 24 points. So, and then they got blown out by Ohio State. And so any team that they played that was worth half a shit this year, they lost to. So I just want to say, Michigan State, this is my prediction for the Baylor game, they're losing by at least 31 points because you can't put any confidence in them against a good team. And I have no idea what the spread is, but if they give Michigan State, I would confidently bet 10 points against them. That's how confident I am that Connor Cook has never seen a vagina in his lifetime. Maybe one.
I don't know. I'm still surprised that Narduzzi's the defensive coordinator there and he hasn't gotten a shot at head coaching yet. So
I think he just has to do what like all these other guys are doing, like how Chad Morris is pretty much was the same boat as him, and he just went to SMU. I guess he has connections there, being a high school coach or something. But
I think he had a lot of recruiting connections.
Yeah, Narduzzi's not just gonna go from Michigan State defensive coordinator to being Florida's head coach. Like nobody's even considering him. So I mean, he's a fuckboy too. He let up like 50 points against those two teams.
They have good pieces on defense though, with the safety Curtis Drummond, I think.
Yeah, and then they got Calhoun. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his first name. They got some nice pieces on offense.
Yeah.
That wide receiver's really good on at cornerback actually. That Lippett.
Oh yeah.
Against Penn State, he was shutting down guys. Not that Penn State has any wide receivers that are that good, but he was shutting them down. He's like 6'2", 200 pounds, so I think he's better there than he's going to be a wide receiver. But
I'm excited to see the Art Briles' offense versus defense, though, but I don't know about Michigan State's offense versus the Baylor defense.
Wait, I might put points on Baylor just so I can say some very hateful things again towards Michigan State because I fucking love doing it. But as far as Baylor goes, Bryce Petty, he's not going to be that great of a pro player or anything, but for college and what he has to do in that offense, I think he has a pretty good chance just to light them up. That defense isn't what it used to be in the secondary. They got some good young players, and they recruit well, but this year I just haven't seen anything. They get beat on verts real bad. They don't play the right – like they have a really good young safety in Monte Nicholson, and they played him, and he played well, and he's from my hometown. But they played some senior kid over him who is like a box safety. And so all you got to do is run verts, which I'm sure Art Briles is going to do.
Baylor has plenty of those.
Yeah. And that Goodley guy, he's going to run all over him. They got a couple decent running backs, and then I just really can't see a way that Michigan State wins that game. It's pretty much the Oregon game again.
The only way I see Michigan State winning it is if Baylor just comes out and doesn't really care at all because they were the first team out of the playoff.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that happening.
Yeah, Briles will have him fired up.
Yeah, because he's not happy that they didn't get their that number 4 seed, which I don't really know if they're deserving or not.
I don't think they were.
But that's besides the point. But if you want a number prediction, I'm going to say, realistically, I'll say first, we'll say 38 Baylor, Michigan State 20. Ideally, Baylor 56, Michigan State like 14.
I could see both
That's
of
how we're
those.
starting off this hangout. We're just
I could see
right
both
up
those
the fire.
situations going down. Uh,
The only way Michigan State's winning if it's like 17-16.
yeah, and that's in Texas too, so the
Yeah, not a
Cotton Bowl.
chance.
So it's
Not a
basically an
chance.
away game for Michigan State. But I agree what you said on Petty. He's not. I don't like him that much as an NFL prospect. And uh, speaking of NFL prospects, it should be a good game for Oakman against the Michigan State offensive line.
But
That'll
yeah,
be an interesting.
is he playing on the left tackle side or right tackle side?
I think they're moving him around, but I think it's mainly the left tackle side.
Because I'd like to see him against that Conklin kid who's getting hype. Their left
Yeah,
tackle at
he's
Michigan
pretty
State.
good. I think I
Uh,
saw Justice say something about him earlier, or about
yeah,
that.
they said that he might declare, but I guess a lot of people like him in the first round. I saw him get beat up by C.J. Olanian against Penn State. He had a nice strip sack against them, but other than that, nothing really else to say other than fuck Michigan State. We can move on.
Okay, let's go to TCU and Ole Miss, the Peach Bowl. What do you think about that game?
TCU and Ole Miss. Definitely like Ole Miss in that game. I
Yeah, I
think
agree.
I think Boykin can only do so much. I know TCU has some nice defensive players, but if Ole Miss can do anything on offense, I don't know if they're gonna have Treadwell or not. Is he out for the year?
I think he was out like 5 or 6 months. That was actually I had something written down about that. I think that was the biggest turning point of their season when he went down and they lost that Auburn game because he fumbled when he
Yeah,
broke
'cause
his leg and
they
everything.
lost the next week like 30-0 against Arkansas.
Yeah,
But
I
if
think that was
they
the Auburn game.
yeah, but they beat the Bulldogs from Mississippi State like pretty handily, even with Bill Wallace and them. So obviously that was one of my favorite teams since the beginning of the season. That Boise State game week one, you could just tell how great that defense was going to be athletically. They got all those
Yeah,
recruits, and they really haven't been the same team since they lost Treadwell, but I think they can still do enough
they can
against
compete.
yeah. And I think that they're just gonna bottle up Boykin a little bit. He's a good player. I know a couple guys on Twitter like him, like Hank and Jinx, but uh, yeah, I don't really see TCU being able to do what they do against like West Virginia, putting up 58 points, or whatever.
Yeah, there's no way they're gonna score that much. I think they maybe 35.
Yeah, it's just a matter of if Ole Miss can put up enough points, because I think their defense will contain TCU enough.
Yeah, we'll see
But
how Bill Wallace does against those TCU players. They have some playmakers back there.
yeah,
Uh,
TCU has
you
a
know,
chance though. I'm not writing them off. That'll be a closer game than I'm probably making it out to be.
yeah, I agree. But Ole Miss has, I think, like 2 or 3 wins over the New Year's Bowl games or teams in the New Year's Bowls. So it'd be Mississippi State, Alabama, and
Boise State.
Boise. Yeah, Boise State. So that has
But
to be the most that anybody in the country has.
yeah, I'd say for a numerical prediction for that game, 28-24 Ole Miss, with Bill
Yeah,
Wallace performing just well enough to get them to win. He'll probably throw an interception or one or two there, but I just don't think TCU is going to be able to do a ton against that defense. Is my main reason for picking them.
yeah. I don't know. We'll see how Boykin does and if he's a legit player or not. So we're
But
both in
let
agreement with Ole Miss on that one. So let's go
let
to
me pick the next game because
okay.
I got my story here. What bowl was that Arizona versus Boise State game?
That's the Fiesta Bowl, I think.
All right, so I read that right as it was announced, and I had it on the CBS app. So it was like it just said like all the teams in order and like the best bowl games to the worst. And so I was just reading it through real quick, and I was sitting in the gym parking lot, and so I read it: Alabama versus Boise State Fiesta Bowl. And I literally was looking at my phone, like trying to think, like, what the fuck is this? But
Yeah, I don't know about that game. I haven't watched that much. I don't think I might have watched one Boise State game, and I think I watched 2 or 3 Arizona games this year.
yeah, that's got to be the worst. Like out of all the like really big name bowl games, that's gonna be the worst game.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Rich Rod has done a good job for Arizona, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Uh, and Scooby Wright's been excellent.
Yeah,
I
he's
wrote
good
his
on
stats.
defense. I just really
Yeah,
don't like that quarterback at all. He's real young, but that
yeah,
Anu Solomon or something.
yeah.
But
Solomon or something like that.
last night he was horrible. I heard some like mini Mariota comparisons. No,
Yeah, there's no way.
but I don't really have any confidence in either team because I haven't seen too much or been impressed by either team that much. But I like Rich Rod more than I like whoever Boise State's head coach is. So
Yeah,
just based on
yeah,
off of Rich Rod, I'll say that they win.
yeah. I think they'll win, but I think that game will be a lot closer than people think. The Fiesta Bowl is usually a good game.
Yeah.
Uh, so let's go to the what other New Year's Bowl? The Mississippi State Georgia Tech game, the Orange Bowl.
All right.
What
What
do
do
you
you have
think
to
about
say on
that
that?
game? Uh, I think that Mississippi State's going to win that game soundly by probably at least 2 touchdowns. Their front seven's very physical, and I'm pretty sure they're like top 20 against the run statistically this year.
Yeah.
Uh, and then Dak Prescott and Josh Robinson, they should be able to run the ball just enough, like just as well as Georgia Tech runs the ball
Mhm.
with their triple option. But I'm really disappointed Georgia Tech didn't win last night.
Yeah, I didn't really have a rooting interest. I've liked both Georgia Tech and Florida State since I was a little kid. I was gonna wear some Georgia Tech gear on this hangout if they won. They didn't win. So, as far as Georgia Tech goes, it was kind of unbelievable how long it took Florida State to get going defensively against them. Just because you would think, like, if Nick Saban went against that Georgia Tech defense on a week, his team would be shut down. And
Yeah, from the start.
Florida State has just the same level of athletes as Alabama has, and that their defensive coordinator's name is Kelly, and he just, I mean, they came out and in like 5 plays they had a touchdown. So
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
whole first half
whole
was.
entire like first half it was just drive after drive the Georgia Tech was scoring. So I guess Mississippi State they can pretty much do the same thing, but they can actually pass the ball effectively.
Yeah,
So in Georgia Tech's not a very dynamic team. Uh, it'll be a close game. Probably along the same lines as the Florida State game, actually. It'll probably start off the same way and then kind of tail off at the end.
yeah,
But
that's what I think.
but with Dak, Dak Prescott being able to pass and some of the playmakers they have on offense, and they should be able to stop the run game a little bit, like you said, with a top run defense with McKinney and Preston Smith. Those kind of guys, they should be able to do something.
Yeah, their
But
front seven's really physical.
yeah,
They're
like Mississippi State, I'd say would win probably about 10 points or so. I just don't think
yeah,
Georgia Tech can muster up the amount of points to keep up with Dan Mullen.
that's probably what the spread is about at too, 10 or right around their 9.5. I'm not sure.
Where's that game at?
That's the Orange Bowl, so that's Miami, I think,
Yeah.
or somewhere in Florida. So should be a neutral site. Uh, Talking about that Georgia Tech Florida State game, I think the biggest playmaker for Florida State was P.J. Williams, the corner. He shut down the outside option on the triple option multiple times, which was he had some pretty big hits too.
McKinney should be able to have like there were a couple of guys last year that really had like A+ games against Georgia Tech. Like Aaron Donald had a great game. He had like 7 tackles for loss or something. Kyle Fuller, they put him at like star linebacker or like the will linebacker out there. He was just causing havoc. So I think he can pretty much have a game like that, be able to contain him a little bit.
Yeah. So I think we were both in agreement that Mississippi State's going to win that game.
Yes.
Let's go to the playoff games then. The one I'm most excited about is Alabama versus Ohio State, which is Urban Meyer versus Nick Saban part 4. Yeah, part 4. So, and Nick Saban is 2-1 against Urban Meyer right now, with his only loss being in that SEC championship game, which was the big Tim Tebow game in 2008, I think. Yeah, yeah, when he went 6 for 6 on the final drive. to get the touchdown. I think he threw it to Riley Cooper, actually, off the top of my head. And then they went on to win the national championship. So I'm excited for that matchup.
Who are you pulling for?
Uh,
Or I shouldn't say that.
really,
Who do you think is going to win?
I think Alabama's going to win, but I think Ohio State's going to give them a good fight.
I bet Ohio State wins.
There's a good chance of that. That's why I think Ohio State was the number 4 team as opposed to TCU or Baylor.
Yeah, that's what I was saying last night. I said no matter what I have against Ohio State as a fan of Penn State and all that, there's no way that Baylor was going to go out and beat Alabama or that TCU was going to go out and beat Alabama. At least with putting Ohio State in there, you have a shot.
Yeah.
Because that defensive line is just going to cause havoc.
Joey Bosa.
Don't speak his name. And they can pretty much just they're not going to do whatever they want on offense, but I think they can definitely put up points. But with Cardell Jones, it's pretty much just a power running team with some easy reads. And it's going to kind of eliminate what Saban can do to protect against that just because it's a very simple offense. And when you got a 6'6", 250-pound guy running down the middle, you're not going to stop him for more than or less than 3 yards many times.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to tackle him.
Yeah. But both teams are going to put up points. Both teams are very talented on both sides of the ball. But honestly, I think Ohio State wins over Alabama. I guess that's kind of like a upset pick, but I don't really think it is.
I think it's an upset pick. What do you think the score would be?
Both teams somewhere in the 40s, probably. I just don't think Alabama can stop Ohio State, yeah. And with Kiffin, I know Alabama's going to put their points. It's just if Ohio State's going to or not.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'll be Bama.
That's considering if Cardell Jones has a good game. If he comes out in his shit, then it's going to be a big Alabama game, just like we saw against Missouri. It just comes down to quarterback play. But I think that he'll probably have like 20 run attempts or something. Him and Ezekiel Elliott. That kid's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Bama wins probably by 10 points. Probably 35.
I mean, I can
28,
see it.
Something like that.
I can see it. I just think Ohio State's the kind of team that you need to beat them.
Yeah.
Like how Ole Miss, when they're in there clicking on offense, and they had all that athletic talent on defense.
That's true. It does come down to the quarterback there, so we'll see. What about Oregon, Florida State?
In Florida State
at the Rose Bowl.
I honestly have no idea. Probably Oregon. As long as they keep their foot on the pedal throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
I think they come out and they're successful like most teams are against Florida State. And whether Florida State can keep up or not will be what determines the game.
I don't think that Florida State's defense will be able to create enough turnovers for them to be able to match.
And we take Mariota for granted too. That kid, it's ridiculous. Like he's throwing 7 touchdowns a game, and then I turn on a Penn State versus Indiana football game at noon on a Saturday, and I have to watch Christian Hackenberg throw for 95 yards on 29 attempts with no touchdowns. And then Justice is over here complaining that Mariota threw 4 touchdowns instead of 5, or he had 5 incompletions.
I think I'm not sure of his name, but Oregon's running back, I think he's a freshman. I think he's going to be a big part of their game plan.
Royce Freeman.
Yeah, that's him. I think that he's going to play well, and they're going to run the ball more than they have recently to beat Florida State.
Yeah,
I think if Florida State wants a chance, they're going to need P.J. Williams and who's the other guy? Jalen Ramsey, I think.
Darby, Ramsey, and Hunter. That's their
yeah. They're gonna need their secondary to play real well.
But yeah, I just think Oregon's going to put up too many points too fast and then not give it up. So Florida State can't do their whole entire comeback from behind thing that they've executed so well this year with Jameis Winston having 4 or 5 fourth quarter comebacks. But
Yeah,
I wouldn't be comfortable betting on that game either way.
I would. The only thing I'd be betting on that game is the over on the points.
Yeah.
That'll be over whatever they set.
hmm But Oregon, if I put down a prediction on, I'd say like Oregon 42, Florida State like 31.
That's about what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Oregon by about 10 or
I don't know who's going to be
cover.
favored in that game.
Oregon's the early favorite. I think they had it 9.5.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. So I think they'll cover though, if it stays there.
Yeah. It might start betting the other way though. They might drop it to like 6, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's a big number for an undefeated team. That's a big number for any team.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about one of the lower games, and that is Penn State versus Boston College.
I knew that was coming up.
All right, so I'll let you speak first because I'll probably get my conversation talked out of hand. So start off.
I think I'll start with Boston College. I think Steve Adazio is a hell of a coach, and I think that his Vine account is one of the best out there.
So look at it if you haven't. Whoever, for all 11 listeners here, if you've made it this far, go to Steve Adazio's Vine account. Continue.
It's amazing. But I don't think he's in Boston College for long. If he makes it through this offseason, which he might not with Michigan calling, then he'll be gone after next year, in my opinion. Because he's done a hell of a job at. He was Florida's offensive coordinator for Urban Meyer, and then he went to Temple, and then he left Temple after a few years because he got hired at Boston College. So he's just rising through the ranks. So.
You like them in the game though?
I don't know. I'm curious to see what the spread is on that game. We're both Penn State students, so I think we're both going to end up picking Penn State. But I don't know. I haven't watched Boston College enough.
Throw out a prediction so I can get my takes.
Penn State 28, Boston College 24.
All right, I got a question for you before I start. Where do you think the 28 points are coming from?
That's why I said 28. Probably defense, and then a couple of Hackenberg. He'll throw some good throws for once in his life. But like I said, I haven't watched Boston College, so I don't know if their defense is good or bad or vice versa with their offense. I just know Penn State's defense is real good, so I'm kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt.
All right. So, first off, my faith in Christian Hackenberg is pretty close to 0 nowadays. I went from me and my friends always talking about getting his jersey and wearing him to games and shit to not wanting him to be my quarterback anymore because I hate him. But he's a talented kid, and he shows glimpses of his freshman year, but he's not there anymore. I'm not saying he's bad or anything. He's just not cut out for this offense and how it's operating right now. But so, from what I understand, Boston College has a pretty good defense. So he'll probably have another Hackenberg performance where he's going like 16 to 30, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So that's my
How many yards?
What?
I'd put the over-under on passing yards at 200, and I'd probably end up betting the under.
Probably right about there, right about 200. That's a good number.
Yeah, that's what I think. It'd be close. If it's more than 200, it's not going to be much more.
So Hackenberg, so-so performance, better than he has been recently, but still not good or even comparable to where he was last year. But the running game, I don't care who they're facing. The only team I've seen a good running game from Penn State against was like UMass, Temple. That's it. So no run, no pass game, really. They get a big play here and there. But so the offense, it's all just going to come down to my boy Ficken. And so I'm banking on pretty much every week. If you ever went on Black Shoe Diaries predictions, everybody else is predicting these games that are like 28-21 Penn State. Mine are always like 16 or like 18 to like 13 with like 6 Sam Ficken field goals. Because I know that once we get within the 30, we're not going to get a touchdown, and he's just going to kick. And he's only, up until that Michigan State game when he whiffed on that ball pretty much, he had all makes, and his 4 misses were all block kicks. So, I mean, he's been about as consistent as you could want. So I bet, I say this every time in the predictions if you read it, but I say Ficken is going to get us like 12 points by himself.
Yeah.
So I start off with that. And then Boston College, Penn State always has trouble with running quarterbacks. You saw that against JT Barrett. He had like 72 yards passing, but he had at least 120 yards rushing. You saw it against the Indiana kid. His name's like Xander Diamont.
Yeah.
I don't know who Xander Diamont is.
I've never heard of him before that game.
I was there for the game, and I was watching this scrawny white kid run around like it was nothing. So Tyler Murphy, he came from Florida. He's kind of the kind of guy that can run around. I think he had 1,000 yards rushing, actually. So like you said, he's pretty much running that Florida offense because that's where he came from. And then that's where Steve Adazio came from. So that's a good matchup for those two. But against the Penn State run, I don't know how good their running back is, but I just can't see them. Like, he'll get his yards running, but I don't know how many points they're going to be able to put up against the kind of defense we have. Because our defense...
Yeah, I don't think he'll get more than 70 yards.
Yeah, this game's going to pretty much come down to basically just how many times Penn State shoots themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Compared to how many times the defense can save them.
Yeah.
Because that's what the whole season's been about. It's just been about Hackenberg getting his ball tipped and getting intercepted, and our defense being at the 30-yard line and holding them to a field goal. So if Hackenberg, Akeel Lynch, and Bill Belton and the rest of the offense can hold their shit together, I think it'll be an easy game for us. But if we play like we have on offense the rest of the year, or the whole entire 11 games or 12 games previous, it'll be close, but I don't really know that we'll lose regardless, just because I have so much confidence in our defense.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
So, Penn State defense should win them the game. And for a prediction, Penn State 20 with multiple Sam Ficken field goals. Boston College 17.
Close one.
Yeah.
With the under, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the lines are going to be at that game, but it's definitely going to be under.
Yeah. But that game, hopefully, I'll be there. We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Let's go to the any other games you want to talk about?
Out of the small ones?
Yeah.
I kind of like Notre Dame versus LSU.
Let me see, what was that one? The Music City Bowl.
Music City.
Yeah. There's going to be I was kind of disappointed they didn't go Notre Dame Penn State in the pinstripe or Pitt Penn State.
Yeah.
Which was on the table, but then
Boston College isn't the one I wanted. I wanted until Clemson started winning again and Penn State kept losing. I wanted Clemson versus Penn State, but that didn't. Obviously, Clemson won out their last couple games.
Yeah.
But Boston College was like the least one I wanted, but still happy to be in a bowl game.
I think a lot of people in Pennsylvania wanted the Pitt Penn State game, but they sent Pitt down to Houston or something like that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the Music City Bowl, Notre Dame versus LSU. I think there's going to be turnovers galore in that game.
Yeah.
With Golson and whoever Les Miles has at quarterback now trying to throw, even though he shouldn't be throwing. They should just be feeding Fournette or however you pronounce it.
Yeah, they got that those two quarterbacks, their completion percentage this year is like 45% or something, and
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
it's not like a really hard offense to run. It's just
I think it was like number 9 or 10. They were ranked like together,
yeah,
9 combined in the SEC quarterback ranking or something like that,
yeah.
which isn't that good because the SEC quarterbacks aren't really that good. So,
But
who you got in that game?
I don't really have much to say other than I think Everson Golson is gonna show out like he did at the beginning of the season, and I don't think LSU is very good at all. So Notre Dame, I don't want to say big, but by 2 scores.
I want to say LSU by 2 scores, probably around 40 to 28.
I don't see that many points either. I think it's gonna be like 17, like 34.
Yeah, I could see that score.
I don't see
Except
LSU putting
LSU.
up that many points.
I don't know. I think they'll have success running the ball versus Notre Dame's defense, and I don't like Golson that much at all.
He is a turnover machine.
He's a
But
turnover machine. He'll just they're gonna convert some turnovers into a lot of points. So, and he's not as bad as his stats are because that what was it, that Arizona game did they play?
Arizona State.
Arizona State, yeah, that Arizona State game, like 2 of his interceptions weren't his fault at all. Like they bounced off the receiver's hands and right into the other guys.
Yeah, and they're always hyping up that kid that his dad played on the Spurs. He's like 6'5" or something.
Oh,
Robinson's his last name.
Robinson,
I don't know
yeah,
his first name. But they're always hyping him up, and he's like not good at all.
yeah. I don't think they have that much talent on offense at all.
Yeah,
And I think another season like this for Notre Dame and Brian Kelly's he's already on the hot seat I think this year.
yeah,
But another season like this, he might be gone. They might be looking for another coach next year.
yeah.
So, uh, let's talk about the Outback Bowl, Wisconsin Auburn.
Yeah, I wanted. I think that's the one that I wanted. It might not have been that one, but I wanted Auburn to play West Virginia, and West Virginia was already locked in. It's not that one, but I wanted Auburn to play West Virginia just because I wanted to see a ton of points on the board with really bad defense.
Well, you're still gonna see that in that game. That's let me find, I think that's the Liberty Bowl or something like that.
But whatever it was, West Virginia versus Auburn was a
Yeah,
possibility.
here it is. Texas A&M versus West Virginia. That's gonna be a shootout. Probably 50 points both sides easily.
But what'd you say, Wisconsin versus Auburn?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I was pumping up Wisconsin's defense last night, right before that Ohio State game, because I did that whole entire Gus Malzahn tests on a bunch of teams, and they were like far and away the best defense, and they're number 2 in total defense. I was like, hey, Ohio State has has a bad defense. Wisconsin's is awesome, and then Wisconsin got 56 points put up on them like nothing with a third-string quarterback. So I'd say Auburn pretty handily, just because Wisconsin can't pass. But
yeah.
if Melvin Gordon can go off, you never know. But I'd have to think Auburn would be, especially after seeing how they performed last night, Wisconsin. I'd say Auburn probably a pretty handy spread on that one, pretty big spread, like
I'm not
13.
sure what the spread is, what Vegas has it at right now, but I'm picking Auburn in that game too. But
Yeah,
I think there's
just
gonna
because
be
Wisconsin can't put up points, they can't pass.
yeah, if you're a fan of running the ball, that's gonna be the game to watch this year.
Yeah,
With all of like I think over 250 yards rushing from each team easily.
yeah. I was
So
upset that Will Muschamp didn't put or hasn't picked Auburn yet because I'd like to see him either
I think
recruiting there or an A&M.
yeah, I think that's inevitable. I don't think he's going to A&M or oh, I could see him going to A&M or South Carolina with the stipulation that when uh the head coaches leave for greener pastures or retire in
Yeah, but
Spurrier's case, then he,
Malzahn might leave if he can get an NFL thing.
yeah, I don't know though.
Not as likely though.
Yeah, I think someone's more likely to leave than Malzahn.
Hmm.
But I think he would go to A&M if they said, okay, you'll be defensive coordinator for the next year or two, and then whenever someone leaves to go to the NFL, then we already have our head coach. You're here.
Yeah. But
But
regardless,
I don't think the what was the other rumor for him? I think I saw a I don't know.
South Carolina was rumored that he accepted there, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't think he's accepted any yet. He's
Yeah.
vacationing in the Caribbean.
On
Probably
SB Nation's Auburn blog, they like keep like a defensive coordinator update track, and it seems like they're really banking on him. Like they haven't even reached out to any other candidates, so I'd assume that
I think you'd be stupid not to take that job.
yeah. I don't know if he'd coach that bowl game or not, but if he did,
I
he
doubt it.
yeah, I couldn't see that happening. But if he did, by any stretch of the imagination, he would. I'd imagine that team would come out pretty prepared.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that A&M game though.
The A&M West Virginia game. That's gonna be a shootout. That's the Liberty Bowl, I think. I'm not sure where that is.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah. What do you think about that game?
A&M, easy. Not. It's going to be a big, high-scoring game, so it'll be close. But I think it's one of those games that they're going to get out ahead, and then West Virginia's just going to kind of make it look close. But I think A&M should handle them.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of A&M that much this year. I
Yeah,
thought they were overrated in the preseason, which they obviously were because I think they were like 12 or something in the preseason rankings.
they got up to like 4 at one point.
Yeah, which was ridiculous. And I don't know. I think West Virginia's been underrated this year. They obviously beat Baylor. They have some bad losses, but you could make an argument that they're one of the better. Well, not anymore, but I think in like a few weeks ago, you could make the argument that they were one of the better two-loss teams in the country.
Yeah.
But
I think that Kenny Hill situation's real funny too, with how he was everybody's darling quarterback, and then
yeah, after that,
he had
the
suspended
first
for something
game,
or other, and now Kyle Allen, who's the number one pocket passing quarterback recruit, he's a 5-star. Now he's going to start for 3 or 4 years, and Kenny Hill's just going to be left in the dark after being Kenny Trill and all that fun stuff.
yeah,
But I said
I
what
think,
I thought about A&M. I just think they're going to win.
yeah, I think West Virginia is going
nice
to win
hair.
that game.
I want to get that off. He has a nice flow. But as far as being a quarterback goes, he's good, but I just don't think that their offense is good enough to keep up with what A&M has.
I don't know. We'll see how many times he can connect with Kevin White,
Yeah.
who some people are saying is the number one wide receiver this year, but he doesn't come close to Cooper in my mind.
He's
So,
good. He's definitely
he's
college
good.
football good.
Yeah,
But
I think he'll make a good NFL player too, but he's not maybe first round, but
yeah,
there's other guys ahead of
DeAndre
him.
Hopkins type. That's what he is. Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. He high points the ball well, so
Yeah, if West Virginia has any chance, they need him to have like 15 catches and like 2 or 3 touchdowns just to even be in the game. They have that really good running back too. He's from he came from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, committed to Pitt. He's a 5-star and now he's there. I have some good stories about him, but he's their number 2 guy. His name's Russell Shell, and he's way better than their number 1. I don't know why they don't play him more. He's a big bruising back. He's pretty much what Akeel Lynch is for Penn State. He's just getting stuck back there because he's young, but he's way better than the number 1. So I'd like to see him get carries just because he's better than whoever their number 1 guy is. I don't even know his name.
Yeah,
But
I'm disappointed that I think the SEC messed up. They should have given A&M to the Texas Bowl, so they had Texas versus Texas A&M in that. But they didn't want to, I guess, because Texas is playing, I think, Arkansas in that game now.
right.
So, what do you think about that game?
I haven't really watched Texas this year, but I like what Arkansas does as far as just running the ball down your throat. And
Yeah,
their defense is pretty good. They've been getting better in recent weeks. Uh, they beat Ole Miss bad. Uh, and Texas is supposed to, if they don't start that Overstreet guy, whose name I only know because of NCAA, but his name's Jalen Overstreet. I guess he's been real bad this year. So if they don't start him, they're going to start a redshirt freshman who was like the number one dual threat quarterback last year.
is that who they've been playing? I don't think they've been playing Overstreet. I watched a couple games and it was
Last name's Hurd or something. With
I
an,
don't know.
they're both big black kids, but
Yeah,
but whoever they play, I knew that Hurd guy is hype, but Overstreet was like the same thing as that Anthony Jennings for LSU.
yeah.
So I mean, how good is Texas's defense?
They're pretty. That's their best unit. Their defense is a lot better than their offense. Charlie Strong has done a good job with that. There's some. Oh, I can't think of his name. The defensive tackle's really good. And
Malcolm
then,
Brown.
yeah, that's him. And then their secondary is pretty good. Whenever I watch, I watched a couple of their games. I think I watched Texas Oklahoma and another Big 12 game that they weren't terrible in, but there's obviously a lot of room for improvement. I think Arkansas is going to win that game handily because they're obviously a team on the rise. I wouldn't be surprised to see them get uh, 8 wins maybe next year.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll
In the
see.
West. They're in the
In
West.
the West.
Yeah, because they're the worst team. They stole like 6 or 7 wins.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see them hit the 8 or 9 mark next year. They're obviously not going to compete with Bama really, but
Yeah.
Ole Miss and Mississippi State are probably trending in the other direction.
Mm.
And LSU's a young team, inexperienced, and like with a lot of freshmen, so they'll obviously be better. But I think the top teams in the West aren't going to be nearly as good next year.
Yeah, but I agree with you that Arkansas is going to beat them. I don't know about how much, but I definitely take Arkansas just because of Alex Collins, and their second guy's good too. I think he's declaring for the draft actually, but just based off of Alex Collins, and that defense is real good. I know, so
Yeah, they're solid.
I'll pick them. And but like I said, I don't know that much about Texas, so if some random guy I don't know about comes out and shows out on offense, maybe they can win. But from what I've seen and heard, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't, I don't know. I think Arkansas is going to win by probably 10 or 12 points.
Yeah, they're not going to put up that many though. I don't see that game getting
Yeah, neither do I. They'll
30.
be running the ball, and I think Texas will have success somewhat running the ball, but not. They won't be able to score that much.
Yeah, I know a game I want to talk about next though. It's Kansas State versus UCLA in
Oh, yeah, I'm excited for that game.
Alamo Bowl,
Yeah, that's the
and that game's going to be big for Hundley.
yeah. We'll learn a lot about him that game. Uh, I think that'll be they both teams had chances all year, and they've been ranked top 20 for most of the year.
Kansas State was always like right there, but then
Yeah,
they get up to like number 8 or 9 and they lose. Then they get back up to 8 or 9, then they lose.
they have
So
2 losses this year.
9-3. Both teams are 9-3.
Yeah. UCLA's loss to Utah was I don't know what to say about that. That was inexcusable.
Yeah.
But like I said, both teams they were there all year, but they just couldn't convert when they needed to the most.
Yeah. What's Kansas State's quarterback's name? Jake Waters.
Something like that.
Yeah, he was supposed to go to Penn State, but then Tyler Ferguson, kid from California, they're both JUCOs. Tyler Ferguson picked there, and he lost the starting job to Hackenberg. So before Waters even played for Kansas State, I kind of knew about him. He was the #1 junior college quarterback. He hasn't really lived up to what you would have thought, but he's been real good for that system this year. As far as the rest of that, so he's good. As far as this game goes, he's not going to have an NFL future or anything.
Yeah.
But him, Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Lockett on Kansas State, they're all pretty good college football players. Lockett's he's listed at 5'9", he's probably 5'6".
Yeah.
But Zach Trujillo, he's good too. I know they have a tackle, I think, that Dame Brugler was talking about. So that offense has some players on it.
They have a Gronk too, I think. Don't they have one of the younger Gronks?
Kyle maybe, but
yeah, something like that.
So they got some guys on offense, but just UCLA's talent overall, I think that's just gonna be too much. Especially, I mean, Brent Hundley kind of showed out against USC, and I mean enough to put up points.
Yeah,
that's a good USC.
But I think the biggest matchup in that game that's going to be fun to watch is the Kansas State offensive line versus the UCLA front seven. The UCLA, I've been really impressed with the UCLA front seven this year. I think they're one of the best in college football.
Probably 1 and 2 with Ohio State.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I think I'd pick Ohio State just because they have a couple more premier guys, but UCLA might have. I don't know if they have more depth. But they're definitely #2.
Yeah, their linebackers they're fast and rangy, and their defensive ends are big and strong, and they can contain.
Yeah,
so
I know
I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that guy's name that I'm thinking of.
94.
Yeah.
Hello.
He has a professional future, so.
Yeah, pretty much everybody in that front seven does. The kid who transferred from Notre Dame, Vanderdoes, he's good.
Yeah.
Norris's guy, Eric Kendricks.
Yeah, he's a fast linebacker.
D. Klassen likes that it's not Matt Collins. Something Hollins or Collins. He's #8. He's an edge rusher. He's good. And then Ellis McCarthy is the other guy. He's a nose tackle. So they got a lot of NFL-type guys on that team. Just overall, talent across the board is very disproportional between the two teams, which is why I lean UCLA. But you got to consider that UCLA is kind of young, other than quarterback. They got a lot of guys that are really good that are underclassmen and juniors. And Kansas State has built their team off of junior college players. They have 33 guys. Bill Snyder, I don't know how he does that, but
yeah, he's
working, I guess.
I think Kansas State. I think it'll be a close game, closer than a lot of other people probably think. But if Kansas State wins, it will be because of coaching. Yep. And that's not a slight to Jim Mora at all. But Bill Snyder's just unbelievable how he can get his guys. You give him a month to prepare for a game, he'll be prepared for the game.
Yeah.
So, but I'll pick UCLA, but I'm not a fan of Hundley at all as a prospect.
He's good and bad.
So. Yeah. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. So, I'll say UCLA 28, Kansas State 24.
All right, there's only a couple more games I want to talk about here. There's 4 that I can see. But one of them is Nebraska versus USC.
Yeah, that was one I wanted to talk about.
Any thoughts there?
I think USC's going to walk away with that game because Nebraska doesn't have Bo Pelini anymore. They're a good team, but they're not. You could tell as soon as they fired Bo Pelini that was going to hurt them.
Yeah, as soon as I saw these today, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whenever I saw it, that was the one game that I thought immediately I don't know the spread or anything, but USC is gonna kill Nebraska
Yeah.
because
That'll be one of those games where Nebraska's just not motivated at all. They're not going to prepare that hard for it. They're not, and not to mention they probably won't be able to keep up with the talent that USC has on offense.
USC they went 8-4, and they very easily could have had like 2 losses. Like
Yeah, they were
had a Hail
popular
Mary
pick.
against them and like a couple other things, but that's a really really good team. That's a team that I thought could potentially be like a Pac-10, Pac-12 champion,
Yeah,
but they had a couple things not go their way. But I like Cody Kessler. I like Buck Allen. I like Juju Allen a lot. They got Farmer, Nelson Aguilar. Like the offense is stacked.
their receivers are so good.
And they're all young. Like other than like they're gonna return Juju Smith and he's gonna be awesome. He just turned 18 as a freshman, like 2 weeks ago. And then their defense is good too. They got that kid who jumped off the balcony back. They got Leonard
Josh,
Williams. Yeah, they got
yeah,
him. Sua Cravens. They got all kinds of players. That's a team that you need to watch for next year if they can bring.
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, Williams is gone obviously because he's gonna go top
Yeah.
5. But if they can get Aguilar back, it doesn't even really matter for him. But it'd be nice to get him back.
Yeah,
Cody Kessler will be back, and he's real underrated. I like him.
yeah. I
Buck
think he has a
Allen's
chance.
like my dad's age, so he'll probably go. But definitely USC in that game. Nebraska's quarterback's horrible, Tommy Armstrong, whatever his name.
Armstrong.
Yeah, he has a string bean arm.
They have
Accurate.
I think all they have on offense is Abdullah.
Yeah, and who knows what his health has been like. He hasn't been the
Yeah.
same recently.
Yeah. He's a popular like mid-season pick for the Heisman, but Mariota's just
So I
run away
picked
with that.
preseason. That's who I picked. And
Really?
Yeah, and then I don't. I mean, he was on pace for a little bit up until that Michigan State game. He was killing it.
Yeah.
Here, I just saw another game I liked too. Duke versus Arizona State.
That was one that I wanted to talk
Sun
about
Bowl.
as well. That was what game's that?
Sun Bowl. Same day as the Penn State game.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Arizona State's gonna run away with that game.
Definitely.
Uh,
I think that if Anthony Boone wants to have any kind of chance at getting drafted or making a camp or anything, he's their quarterback. He's gonna have to like have the game of his life.
yeah.
So, and I like Duke's coaching staff a lot with Cutcliffe.
Yeah.
They don't have the OC anymore, but that's a really good coaching staff. And they got some guys you like on offense, like Crowder. But if you look at Arizona State's roster compared to them, and then even the coaching staff, because what's the Arizona State head coach's name? He's at Pitt, and then he trained.
Yeah, it's the guy that left Pitt like a
Todd Graham.
yeah, Graham.
He's an asshole and like a schmuck and all that, but that guy
Yeah.
gets his ass off, and he gets kids there, and I mean, that's a pretty old team too. Like this was
Yeah,
their year
they're
to
experienced.
like Kelly. And then they lost Marion Grice, but they got DJ Foster. They got Jalen Strong, and the whole entire defense is pretty. I'm not gonna say it's great, but it's pretty pretty stiff.
They're solid.
Yeah, but
I'm a fan of Jalen Strong. I think he is a future in the NFL.
yeah, definitely.
Not I don't really have a comparison for him yet either.
I've seen
I
some
don't-
Anquan Bolden, but I don't know if that's
Yeah, that's a popular one that I've seen. I don't know that he's that I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I don't think he's that good in separation.
Yeah.
Not separation, but like in traffic.
Mhm.
So
I
don't
just
know, we'll
I just
see.
know that he's good. I haven't watched him that much.
yeah,
I've seen him play live. I just see the crazy plays he makes, and I know he's good.
yeah.
He might be like a step below Kevin White.
Yeah, I think he's right on par with Kevin White.
I haven't
Yeah.
really seen him with the ball in his hands. That's one thing I know about Kevin White is that if you just throw him a screen, he's pretty like a bull in a china shop. I don't know much about Jalen Strong, but I would like to say also that Mike Bercovici is way better than Taylor Kelly. So he's not going to start, but I like Bercovici more. But regardless, Arizona State's winning that game.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a. It could be close if Arizona State like dilly dallies around on offense, but if they come out firing on all cylinders, that's not going to be a close game. Um, let's talk about the Belk Bowl, which was Louisville versus Georgia. Do you have any thoughts on that game?
The Belk Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know what Belk is, but
I've
that's
never
the
even heard
name
of
of the
such a
bowl.
thing. I'm trying to find it here. Both
I
teams.
think that
That's a 9-3 versus 9-3.
yeah,
I thought that'd be like Houston versus like Cal Poly or something. But Georgia, Louisville. One thing I know for certain is that Bobby Petrino brought toughness to Louisville, and that can't be discounted. And
uh,
Mark Richt isn't very good in big games, but Gurley's not playing, I assume.
no, I think he tore his ACL,
All right,
but
doesn't matter.
they still have Chubb. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, old Chubby, he'll do the trick. He'll do whatever he chooses. Him, Sony Michelle. Is Keith Marshall playing?
Uh, he should be.
I don't know if he's hurt or not. I haven't heard much about him just because that
I
Chubb
haven't heard a
kid.
lot about him either.
But that game will be closer than I'm saying it's going to be. I don't know that.
I don't think Georgia's going to run away from it because they have talent on defense.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, Louisville's kind of the same thing. Like, they have
yeah,
a pretty good running back, except they have, like, a elite wide receiver that Georgia doesn't have. Neither team's quarterback's any better than the other. They got Will Gardner for Louisville, Hudson Mason for Georgia. I don't think either of them are either better than the other. Running backs, obviously Georgia's gets better, but I'd say Georgia.
yeah. I'll say Georgia too. Probably 35, 28, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. A couple more
Uh,
games I wanted to hit here, though. I don't really have much else to say for that game.
yeah, I didn't have a lot to say either. That was just one of the better games left that we have to talk about.
Yeah, the only real good one left I see that I don't really even find that entertaining at all. I probably won't watch this game. It's Minnesota versus Missouri.
That's
But
the Citrus Bowl, I think.
Citrus. But I'd go Minnesota. As long as Cobb plays, I'm a big fan of him. They got
Yeah,
Max Williams too, but just off of Cobb, and I hyped up Matty Mock a bunch in the preseason just because of his Google searches, pretty much. But he's pretty ass, and Shane Ray is an idiot, and that defense you kind of saw against Alabama.
yeah.
But I don't. That's not going to be a very fun game to watch at all.
That'll be a snooze fest. But I think Minnesota will run away with that game literally with Cobb as long as Cobb plays. But I don't see any reason why he shouldn't. I don't think he's hurt. But Jerry Kill's done a hell of a job in Minnesota this
I
year.
like him a lot. His vines are funny too.
Yeah,
Celebrates with coaches, but
his dancing.
Minnesota 27-20.
I don't think it'll be that high scoring.
No?
No, I think it'll be 17-14 or 17-10, something
I
like
bet
that.
Minnesota. I don't know if Missouri's going to put up 20, but I bet Minnesota gets some points.
Yeah, yeah, Minnesota can probably hit 20, but I don't like Missouri's chances at all, especially after that SEC championship game. They don't have any reason to play hard, really. Uh,
Here we
what
go.
other games?
Clemson versus Oklahoma. That is Russell Athletic Bowl.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it's all the way down at the bottom. It's pretty early too. It's
That'll
on
be what's his name? Who's their quarterback? Clemson's quarterback.
Deshaun
Watson?
Watson.
Yeah, is he playing?
He'll play for 45 minutes, then get hurt. If that's what
Yeah,
you mean.
that's well. I saw something that he tore his ACL and he's playing on a torn ACL, so which is pretty amazing. But I think Dabo Swinney is one of the best coaches in the country. So Chad Morris leaving might affect them because I'm assuming he's not coaching them in the bowl game anymore. He's probably recruiting out in Texas or wherever he's recruiting. But I think Clemson has a better chance to win that game than Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't really see Oklahoma. Trevor Knight got some like Johnny Manziel hype and that kind of stuff in the preseason, just off of that bowl game last year.
Yeah, and he got and the game day when Katy Perry was on.
Yeah, but I don't even know if he's gonna play. I know that other kid, Cody Thomas, was playing. He was a big recruit, but neither of them, regardless who plays, neither of them have played that well. Oklahoma didn't live up to expectations, and I'll say with the contingency that Watson plays, I think they win by like 14. But
Yeah,
if Cole Stout plays, then everything's out the window because he's horrible.
yeah, I'm 100% in agreement.
Yeah, but
Uh,
they seem to like him, that coaching staff, because they always talk him up. But it's not like they have any other options but to do
yeah,
that. But it's very evident that Sean Watson is the better quarterback and gives them the better chance to win. And they fought that for a while, but they accepted it, and now every 10 plays he runs, he's on the ground.
Andy's only a true freshman, I think.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Him
which,
and Kyle Allen were number one in their two categories for quarterbacks.
where was who's Miami's quarterback? Brad
Kyle,
Kaya or something like that? Kaya? Where was he on that?
number 5 dual threat, I think, something like that. But he was the most polished and like ready out of all of them. But
Oh,
he's
I
like,
was gonna say,
yeah, he
'cause
was real well known.
he impressed me in the Florida State game.
Hmm.
I watched that game and I watched Miami this year. I watched that game and I watched the Pitt game, and he did pretty good in both those games.
Yeah, they
Passed
play.
the eye test,
I saw
but
that too. They play somebody that you wouldn't think they play. South Carolina, they play. They play.
yeah, I think that'll be a decent game. I think.
Yeah, that's one of the better like. That's the same day I think as the Penn State game. Yeah,
What bowl was that?
Independence. The Sun Bowl with Arizona
Yeah,
State.
yeah, that's the same day as the 27th.
But
That's I think that's actually the Duck Dynasty. Like they're sponsoring that one too.
yeah, it's in Louisiana, so probably.
Yeah, so I hope we get
It's gonna be obnoxious.
I hope Steve Spurrier goes and becomes a cast member on the next season in Duck Dynasty. So that'll the old ball coach with
I bet
whatever their
Miami wins
names
that. I
are.
bet Miami wins that though,
Yeah, I agree.
just because of offensive talent. And I don't think South Carolina has much. I can't believe that they started off the season the way they did, because I think that's a pretty.
Yeah, they were like preseason number 9, I think, or
Yeah,
number 7.
I put money on that Georgia game, and pretty much Page just needs to quit betting pretty much as a whole, we'll say.
It's good for the timeline.
It is, but not for my bank account.
The one game I wanted to hit was surprisingly the Miami Beach Bowl, which was Memphis versus BYU, who are both. I think they're one of them's 9-3 and the other one's 8-4. But I think they're both. I've seen it floated the last couple of days as the possibility of them being Big 12 expansion teams.
BYU?
BYU and Memphis, surprisingly, which I haven't.
They should
I
like
don't know. I don't know if I agree with
they should
that.
destroy Memphis's program. Just give BYU like 2 spots.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think it's a no-brainer for BYU to go, and they should. I think they should win that game. But Memphis, I watched like a half of a Memphis game this year, and they were impressive. Uh, their head coach now was TCU's offensive coordinator a few years back with Gary Patterson, so he's kind of using like that model to build that program up. So, but I think BYU was a trendy early season pick for like an upset team and like a dark horse in the playoff too.
Yeah.
But then the quarterback had to go and get hurt. What was his name? Taysom Hill or something like that.
Yeah.
But they were like, I think they were like 6-0 or 5-0 or something like that. and then they lost 3 straight.
Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts on either team just because I haven't seen either, but I know BYU was a pretty good team for a while, so I'll just pick them since I know nothing else about Memphis. But you have anything else to say about that game?
Uh,
Because there's only
no, I
one
think
more I want to hit here.
that's it.
The only
Yeah,
other one
that's
I
it.
want to talk about was the Marshall Northern Illinois game, and I don't even know what bowl that is. That is the Boca Raton. It's in Boca Raton, Florida. So they really did Marshall well there after their loss, but I'd have to say that they easily handled Northern Illinois with Rakeem Cato.
Yeah, I haven't watched that much of either team, so uh, I'll pick Marshall just because of how good they were undefeated through 10 weeks or something like that.
I just think
But
it's funny that they went from I don't even know what bowl they would have got before they lost, but now they're playing on December 23rd.
yeah, it's not. I don't know.
That head coach is supposed to get some looks from other schools though. That Doc
From
Holliday.
Marshall,
Yeah.
I don't. I hated the argument that some people were making that if Marshall went undefeated, they deserve a playoff. No, they don't.
Yeah.
You could almost make the argument that if Florida State went undefeated, they didn't deserve the playoff, but they do this year.
Yeah. If there
And
would
I
have
don't
been,
think
I can't see a way that Florida State would have got held out in any
I
year.
think if one of the Big 12 teams went undefeated, then they could have gotten held out.
I mean, yeah,
But
another undefeated team would have. But I mean, like if there was a playoff in past years, I think every
yeah,
year Florida State that team is getting in.
yeah. And I don't think that's one of the arguments that I see a lot against the 5-team playoff, or not the 5-team playoff, the 8-team playoff or the 6-team playoff is then basically the conference champion just become an auto bid, and then it just turns into the BCS almost. So I don't know what I want. I think a 6-team playoff would be best, so there's a chance for all 5 Power 5 conferences to get in. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't think it stays at 4 for long.
Yeah. I saw somebody put out that they could do 6 and just give 2 teams a bye or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know if I said anything about that, but
Yeah, so like Alabama and Oregon would have got a bye. So I think that would be nice or something like that. But I
yeah.
definitely feel that there should be at least. I mean, football is a hard schedule to be playing.
Yeah, that's an argument I have against the 8-game playoff. It's then you'll have these kids that aren't getting paid, which is a whole nother argument that
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into. Playing into the second and third week of January
Yeah.
for what's the schedule now? They play 13 games if you're including conference championships plus the bowl game.
You
So that's
could
14
like
games.
Ohio State is going to play 14 games this year,
Yeah, and that's like
not more.
I don't know. That's an NFL schedule that you're getting into now. That they don't have time to prepare for that.
But I don't really have a problem with the 4, but I don't think it should be more than 6.
Yeah, I agree.
But there's only one more game. We touched on most of them actually, but there was only one more that I really wanted to touch upon, and it was just kind of humorous to me, which is the only reason why I'm bringing it up, and that is Maryland versus Stanford, and
Yeah,
they're both 7 and
I
5.
thought you were gonna want to bring that one up.
I just wanted to say, fuck Maryland, and I thought it was hilarious that Stanford went 7 and 5.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. And I think they had they had a top 5 defense this year too. Even
We
though
haven't.
I don't think I could name anybody on Stanford's defense off
I
the
haven't
top of
even,
my
I haven't
head
even
right
heard
now.
anything about that game.
Yeah, but
Actually,
I
that's another reason to say fuck Connor Cook. I bet on the Rose Bowl last year. I bet Stanford, and he won.
uh anyway, uh we're back to where we started. I think Stanford's going to win that game handily with their defense, if their defense is really as good as people have said.
Yeah, Maryland's. I'm just gonna rest this just on Maryland's quarterback, C.J. Brown. He came from Pennsylvania somewhere, and I'm saying that like a truth. But that guy looks like, what is the thing I kept calling him on Twitter? Punxsutawney Phil.
Punxsutawney Phil, the groundhog.
The groundhog, which they pull out of the tree. That's C.J. Brown. He's as bad as Gary Nova is. I don't care if it's a
Oh,
hot take. He's as bad.
that's a hot take.
And he beat Penn State, which has let me unleash all kinds of tweets about that. Punxsutawney asshole. But other than that, I don't have much else to say unless Jimmy does. So
I was just gonna say I'm jealous of Western Kentucky, and I'm not even sure who else is in that game. But the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen, they get to the bowl, the Bahamas Bowl. They get to go to the Bahamas, and they're like not. I think they're both like 6-6 or 7-5, something like that, mid-major programs. And going to the Bahamas to play a bowl game in the middle of
Western
December.
Kentucky and Central Michigan.
Yeah, Central
7-5.
Michigan, that's who it was.
That's ridiculous.
And then there's a bowl in Detroit. I think that's the Rutgers Bowl. Whoever's going,
Can you even name one player off of Western Kentucky or Central Michigan's roster?
I couldn't.
I can't either. All I know
I'm
is
pretty sure.
if I was on either one of those teams, I wouldn't make it back from the Bahamas.
Yeah, you just quit.
Just like settle down.
But there's a huge difference between that game and the whatever game they have in Detroit, where it's probably going to be freezing and cold, or even the Stripe Bowl. 'Cause you know it's not going to be 60 degrees or 50 degrees in New York City in December right after Christmas. So those guys got it good on those mid-majors.
But that's all I really have to say. So,
Yeah, that's all I have to say.
all
So
right.
I think we're done here.
All right, I'm out.
Thanks for watching.